In fact, I think BYD is becoming China's next Evergrande, risking it all with a high debt, high turnover, and high leverage growth model. Although BYD as a manufacturing company differs from BYD in terms of industry prospects, profitability, and asset liquidation and technology, several hidden risks can bring BYD a systemic crisis. And here are the four risks. The first is lack of technological innovation. The second is its hidden debts. And the third is the fragile supply chain. Last but not least is the overdependence on government subsidies. Okay, so first thing first, let's talk about its lack of technological innovation. BYD is known in China as the cost king for launching price wars to drive out competitors. However, the EV industry in China has shifted from a price war to a technological war, as innovation has become the decisive factor for competitiveness and survival. Consumer demand for smart driving technology and longer battery life. Those two demands are growing rapidly. However, BYD lags significantly in both areas. BYD's intelligent driving system is called D-Pilot. It has received poor user feedback, citing low precision and limited coverage. So compared to Tesla's full self-driving FSD and Xiaopeng's all-scenario navigating system, what's called XNGP, BYD's technology is noticeably behind. And according to Chinese media, in 2024, BYD's penetration rates for highway NOA, which is navigation on autopilot, and then urban NOA were just 1% and 0.5%, respectively, far below its competitors. So Li Auto dominated with 31.5% market share, while Huawei's AI Ato, 问界 in Chinese, and NIO followed with 24.5 and 13.6% respectively. So the Chinese author who wrote the piece said that BYD has a long way to catch up. So BYD's LFP blade battery is known for its low cost, offering a range of 700 kilometers. However, it falls short in energy density compared to CATL's Qilin battery, and is no match for Toyota's solid-state battery, set for mass production in 2027, which promises a 1,200-kilometer range with just 10 minutes of charging. Tesla is also pushing ahead with dry electrode technology based on its 4680 battery, accelerating the pace of innovation. Despite BYD's investing 20 billion yuan, which is about $2.8 billion in R&D in the first half of 2024, no groundbreaking breakthroughs have emerged. But you might say, wait, didn't we just hear that BYD introduced its megawatt flash charging technology like yesterday, capable of achieving maximum charging voltage of 1,000 volts, maximum charging current of 1,000 amperes, maximum charging power of 1 million watts, and the highest charging rate of 10 C, with peak charging speed of 2 kilometers of range per second. However, Chinese netizens and experts point out that such high power levels may be too much for the electrical grid to handle. And even before that, the charging cables themselves may struggle with the load. And they say that BYD will need to equip all charging stations with cooling solutions for heat dissipation. People say it's not groundbreaking innovation and not something worth bragging about. High power charging is simple physics. You either increase the current or the voltage. However, the real challenge is whether the battery can withstand the type of power, right? And then from the power grid perspective, this charging capacity is too large. A single car charging at this rate may be manageable, but if multiple vehicles charging simultaneously, people say the system will likely struggle to keep up. It looks more like a media hype to drive up the stock prices, while Tesla stock is suffering. If BYD fails to overcome its technological shortcomings, its market position will face a dual squeeze. because mid to low end models, like its Qing Plus and Seagull models, may lose appeal due to outdated technology. They will be overtaken by Chinese competitors like Cherry and others. And its high end models, like Yangwang series, will struggle to compete with Tesla or even NIO.
特斯拉电池包就是比比亚迪好，还是比亚迪汉的刀片电池比特斯拉强？特斯拉 Model S 电池包上盖是铁的，刀片电池包上盖是塑料的，肯定比铁的便宜。比亚迪你可真会省。Model S 有16个电池组，每个电池模组里面有444节这种1865电池，整个电池包有7000多节电池。比亚迪的刀片电池有一个电池组，里边只有117节刀片电池。就好比养猪一样，特斯拉电池包里边该养7000多头猪，比亚迪的电池包里边只能养100多头，你说哪个强？特斯拉如果有一个电池坏了，每个模组都可以单独拆掉更换，换一个模组才2、3千。刀片电池包是100多节电池焊接成一个整体，根本拆不开。要是有一个电池坏了，只能换整个电池包，得花10来万。特斯拉是用这种冷却水管插到电池两侧，给电池均匀散热。刀片电池用的是冷却水排，用胶粘到电池表面，电池上面散热好，下面散热差，电池有温差，所以就容易衰减。Model S 用了3D 电池，有85度电，比亚迪的刀片电池是磷酸铁电池，只有75度电，所以特斯拉跑得更远。特斯拉和比亚迪汉哪个你更喜欢？
BYD is a high volume, low cost manufacturing player, while Tesla is a high tech, high profit industry leader. BYD excels in vertical integration, producing its own batteries, motors, and electronic control systems, which gives it strong cost control. It leverages the economies of scale to reduce costs, primarily targeting the mid to low end market. In contrast, Tesla focuses on technological innovation and brand premium pricing. This advantage allows Tesla to target the high end market in China, aiming for high profit margins. For example, in 2023, its net profit per vehicle was approximately $8,200, significantly higher than BYD's $1,400 profit margin. With China's fast declining population and shrinking consumer market, BYD's lack of technological innovation not only threatens its position as the global sales leader, but also risks branding it as a low-end automaker, which could hinder its global expansion strategy. Okay, so now let me talk about its financial problems. BYD's financial health is, in my opinion, a bigger concern than its lack of technological brilliance. So on January 10th, Hong Kong-based short-selling firm GMT Research released a report questioning BYD's off-balance sheet liabilities, aka hidden debts. So according to the report, if overdue accounts receivable from sales or loans are added back, the payable over 90 days are treated as debt, then BYD's net debt as of June 2024 was 323 billion yuan, which is $44.7 billion, far exceeding its official figure of 27.7 billion yuan or $3.8 billion. Basically, it exceeds the official number by 10 times. The report also highlighted a surge in other payables, which grew 4 times from 41.3 billion yuan in late 2021 to 165 billion yuan by the end of 2023. But anyways, BYD's over-reliance on delayed payments to suppliers creates liquidity risks. If suppliers lose patience due to long payment cycles, or if economic downturns trigger repayment demands, BYD could face a supply chain crisis similar to Evergrande's cash flow collapse. And one example is a company called Huazhuang Technology in Guangdong, a company that makes electronics, and they supply automotive electronics to BYD. Its financial exposure to BYD has grown rapidly. So the company's revenue made from BYD accounted for a little under 25% of this company's total revenue in 2023. However, as of June 2023, its accounts receivable total grew to 264 million yuan, with 42% of it came from BYD. So this 42% accounts receivable from BYD far exceeded the 25% revenue proportion from BYD. So BYD has extended supplier payment cycles to an average of 275 days, effectively converting interest-bearing debt into interest-free supplier credit. People also compared BYD's accounts receivable turnover from its accounts payable turnover. So BYD's receivable turnover is 38 days, which is about a month. But its accounts payable turnover is 195 days. That's 6.5 months. BYD collects AR in about a month, but pays its suppliers in 6.5 months. While this boosts short-term liquidity, it also creates potential instability. If suppliers demand early payments, BYD could face a severe cash crunch. And the crisis runs deeper. That brings us to the topic of the fragility of BYD's supply chain. A single EV consists of tens of thousands of components sourced from thousands of suppliers. BYD's supply chain network spans over 8,000 companies. So in the past 2 years, Chinese automakers have further tightened supplier payment policies. Previously, payments for parts were settled with suppliers upon receiving them in the warehouse. But now, automakers pay only after finishing using the inventory. And so this delayed payment has transferred storage and inventory costs, from the automakers to suppliers. Worse yet, to maintain market dominance, BYD has repeatedly lowered vehicle prices, right? It's called the cost king. And this has put pressure on its suppliers to absorb cost reductions. It's rumored that BYD chairman Wang Chuanfu once said, "Other people's profits are BYD's costs." So BYD's aggressive cost-cutting measures and squeezing supplier margins are destabilizing this ecosystem. And in November 2024, BYD requested a 10% price reduction from its suppliers for 2025. This sparked industry-wide controversy because in 2023, the average profit margin of China's top 100 auto parts suppliers was just 7.2%. So one supplier publicly protested, arguing that this would drive the industry into a race to the bottom and urged BYD to abandon its exploitative pricing model in favor of sustainable supply chain development. Although BYD responded by saying that price reduction was optional and negotiable, in reality, smaller suppliers have little bargaining room. So to reduce cost, some suppliers cut corners, which has led to quality defects and ultimately affecting vehicle performance and safety. As market competition intensifies, BYD's supply chain sustainability is increasingly at risk. If the situation worsens, external factors such as raw material price hikes or internal issues such as declining sales or overall economic downturns could trigger a domino effect. At the start of 2024, the Ministry of Finance issued new government procurement rules requiring at least 30% of annual fleet purchases to be EVs. As China's top EV brand, BYD benefited tremendously from the above programs. Its success is deeply tied to government support. And in 2024, BYD's EV deliveries reached 4.2 million units. It's a 41% increase from 2023. However, most of it, the bulk of it, 90% of it is domestic sales. So BYD essentially still relies on the Chinese market. This policy-driven demand creates a risk because once subsidies decline or expire, EV sales could plummet. But BYD cannot afford to see its sales decline. Like Evergrande or China's real estate industry, its business model is built upon the assumption of an ever-expanding market. But given its lack of technological advantage, BYD's only value to offer is cutting price. But we know that's suicidal. That explains why BYD is adamant about cutting price with its suppliers. Just like Evergrande isn't able to redeem itself from the debt problem, some believe that BYD has already grown too big, becoming too ambitious, and has cut prices too low, and the quality of its products has already tanked. It's beyond redemption. That's why some people believe that China's EV maker, the Chinese EV maker, is likely to follow the same path as Evergrande.